In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of all the worlds. We praise Him, we seek His help, and we seek His forgiveness. When Allah is about to change your life, He does not always announce it with ease. Sometimes He whispers through silence, delays, and moments that stretch your sabr. Many of us think that if Allah loved us, the path would be smooth, but the Quran teaches us something far deeper, that Allah prepares His servants before He elevates them. That confusion you feel, that heaviness in your heart, that sudden turning away from what once distracted you, these are not signs of loss, they are signs of divine alignment. When Allah plans something big for you, He first reshapes your heart, strengthens your trust, and pulls you closer to Him. Because what is coming cannot be carried by the old version of you. When Allah delays something you are desperately asking for, the heart immediately assumes loss. We live in a world that measures value by speed. How quickly doors open, how fast answers arrive, how soon relief appears. But Allah is not rushed, and His mercy is not bound by our timelines. A delay from Allah is never empty, it is always full of purpose, wisdom, and protection, even when we cannot yet see it. Many people walk away from Allah not because of denial, but because they misunderstand His silence. They think silence means abandonment, when in reality, it often means preparation. In the Quran, Allah reminds us that we love things that are not good for us, and we dislike things that are good for us. And Allah knows why we do not. This single truth changes how we interpret delays. What if what you are asking for, in the exact moment you are asking for it, would harm your heart, your iman, or your akhirah? What if receiving it too soon would make you forget Allah, instead of drawing closer to Him? Allah's mercy is so vast that He withholds not to punish, but to protect. He delays not because He is ignoring you, but because He is carefully choosing the right moment, the right version of you, and the right circumstances for what you are asking. Look at the lives of the prophets. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was promised greatness, yet he was thrown into a well, sold as a slave, falsely accused and imprisoned. Years passed before the dream Allah showed him became reality, but every delay shaped him into someone capable of holding authority without arrogance, power without corruption, and success without forgetting Allah. Had Allah lifted him too early, Yusuf would not have been Yusuf. The delay was not a detour, it was the path. Many times Allah delays something because He is answering a du'a you did not even know you made. You may have asked Allah for closeness to Him, for a softer heart, for stronger faith, and Allah answered by delaying what distracted you from Him. He removed ease so you would return to sujood. He allowed uncertainty so you would learn tawakkul. He stripped away reliance on people so you would rely fully on Him. This is hidden mercy that does not look like mercy at first glance. There is also mercy in Allah preventing you from stepping into something that looks good but is spiritually destructive. Some opportunities glitter, some relationships feel comforting, some paths seem promising, but Allah sees where they end. He sees the tears they would bring, the compromises they would demand, the distance from Him they would create. So He closes the door, and when He closes it, it hurts, because we were already imagining ourselves inside. But years later, when Allah reveals what He saved you from, you realize that the delay was not rejection, it was divine rescue. Delays also teach the soul humility. When everything comes easily, the nafs grows loud. It starts believing success is self-made, strength is personal, and blessings are deserved. But delay humbles you. It teaches you patience, dependence, and sincerity in du'a. It teaches you to call upon Allah not just when you want something, but because you need Him. And Allah loves the servant who turns to Him consistently, not conditionally. Sometimes Allah delays because He is increasing the reward. The Prophet taught us that no hardship afflicts a believer, not even a thorn, except that Allah expiates sins through it. That waiting period, that unanswered du'a, that long test is cleansing you. It is raising your rank. It is rewriting your akhirah. What you receive later may look the same on the surface, but spiritually, it will come with barakah that could never exist without the delay. And then there is the most intimate form of mercy. Allah delaying something so you learn to trust Him without seeing the outcome. True tawakkul is not trusting Allah after things work out. It is trusting Him while things are still unclear, while the heart is still aching, while the path is still hidden. Allah delays so you learn that your peace does not come from answers, but from knowing who holds the answers. So when you find yourself waiting for relief, clarity, marriage, healing, direction, do not assume Allah has forgotten you. Allah does not forget His servants. He is Al-Latif, the most gentle. His gentleness often comes wrapped in patience. And one day, when the plan unfolds, you will look back at the delay and realize that it was one of the greatest mercies Allah ever placed in your life. When Allah is preparing you for something big, one of the first changes that happens quietly inside you is detachment. Things that once excited, you no longer hold the same grip on your heart. Conversations feel empty, gatherings feel loud, habits feel heavy, and distractions that once consumed your time suddenly feel meaningless. At first, this change can feel confusing and even lonely. You might wonder why you no longer fit where you once belonged. But this is not loss, this is purification. Allah does not elevate a heart that is crowded. A heart attached to too many distractions has no space for divine purpose. So before Allah grants something great, He gently begins to remove what does not serve that future. This detachment is not punishment, it is mercy. Allah is making room for clarity, room for focus, room for a deeper relationship with Him. Many people fear detachment because they think it means deprivation, but in reality, it is liberation. When Allah pulls your heart away from constant entertainment, unnecessary relationships, endless scrolling or worldly noise, He is freeing you from what drains your soul. Distractions exhaust the heart without nourishing it. They keep you busy but not fulfilled. And Allah, in His wisdom, does not want His servant exhausted when something important is coming. This is why you may notice that Allah slowly distances you from people who once dominated your time but distracted your faith. Not everyone who makes you laugh is meant to walk with you toward Jannah. Some connections are temporary, even if they feel familiar. Allah removes them not because they are evil, but because they are no longer aligned with where He is taking you. And Allah knows that if He did not create distance, your heart would remain attached. Sometimes the detachment is internal before it becomes external. You can be surrounded by the same people, in the same environment, yet feel disconnected. Your heart no longer finds comfort in gossip, competition, or showing off. You crave depth, you crave sincerity, you crave silence with Allah more than noise with people. This shift is a sign of spiritual maturity. Allah is refining your taste, not just what you consume, but what you allow into your heart. Detachment also shows up in how you view dunya. The race for validation begins to feel hollow. Chasing approval, status, or comparison starts to drain rather than motivate you. This is not laziness, this is awakening. Allah is teaching you that your worth is not measured by applause but by closeness to Him. And a heart that understands this becomes powerful because it is no longer controlled by people's opinions. One of the hardest parts of detachment is letting go of habits that once comforted you. Sometimes distractions are not sinful, they are simply excessive. Too much talk, too much entertainment, too much involvement in things that do not benefit the akhirah. Allah slowly reduces your desire for these things so your heart can breathe again. Because a heart constantly stimulated cannot hear divine guidance. Silence, reflection, and restraint create space for Allah's voice to be felt. There is also wisdom in Allah removing distractions before granting blessings. If Allah gave you what you wanted while your heart was still attached elsewhere, that blessing might become a distraction itself. Marriage could pull you away from Allah. Success could inflate your ego. Wealth could harden your heart. So Allah detaches you first. He teaches you balance. He anchors your heart in Him, so when the blessing arrives, it brings you closer to Allah, not further away. This process can feel uncomfortable because growth is uncomfortable. Detachment feels like boredom to the untrained soul. It feels like isolation to the heart that has not yet tasted intimacy with Allah. But once you lean into it, you realize that Allah is replacing noise with peace, distraction with purpose, attachment to creation with reliance on the Creator. Many people resist this stage by forcing themselves back into old patterns. They distract themselves again to avoid feeling the emptiness. But that emptiness is sacred. It is the space Allah is preparing for something greater. Filling it prematurely delays the plan. Sitting with it, trusting Allah, and allowing the heart to realign accelerates it. And then one day you realize that you are no longer easily shaken. You are no longer pulled in every direction. Your heart feels light, clearer and more focused. You may have fewer distractions, but you have more depth. Less noise, but more certainty. Less attachment to the world, but more connection to Allah. This is how Allah prepares His servants. Before He gives, He purifies. Before He elevates, He simplifies. And before He entrusts you with something big, He frees your heart from what would weigh it down. When Allah intends to elevate a servant, He often allows the weight to increase before the wings grow stronger. Tests do not always mean something is wrong. Very often, they mean something is about to change. Many people assume that closeness to Allah should remove hardship, but the opposite is frequently true. Allah tests those He loves, not to break them, but to reveal what already exists within their hearts. As the tests intensify, you may notice something unexpected. You are still standing. Situations that once would have shattered you now bend you, but do not break you. The tears still fall, the pain is still real, but the heart no longer collapses in despair. This is not coincidence. This is strength Allah has been quietly building within you over time. Allah never sends a test without first sending the capacity to endure it. Every difficulty is tailored, every burden is measured. When the trials increase, it is a sign that Allah knows you can carry more, not because you are strong on your own, but because He has strengthened you through previous experiences. What once felt unbearable has become survivable. What once crushed you now deepens you. These tests often arrive in layers. One challenge follows another, leaving little space to recover. This is when many people feel overwhelmed and ask, why is everything happening at once? But this is also when Allah is refining you most intensely. Just as metal is strengthened through repeated heating, the believer's heart is strengthened through repeated reliance on Allah. Each test strips away arrogance, impatience, and false security, leaving behind sincerity and humility. Inner strength does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like continuing to pray while exhausted. Sometimes it looks like holding your tongue when anger rises. Sometimes it looks like trusting Allah even when answers are delayed. These quiet acts of endurance are beloved to Allah. They are signs of a heart anchored in faith, not shaken by circumstances. With stronger tests also comes a deeper awareness of Allah's presence. You begin to recognize that relief does not always come by removing the trial, but by stabilizing the heart within it. Allah grants sakinah, a calm that does not make sense given the situation. This calm is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of trust. And this trust is one of the greatest gifts Allah gives during hardship. The believer who grows through trials develops clarity. You learn what truly matters. Petty worries lose importance. The dunya shrinks in the presence of akhirah. You become more intentional with your time, your words, and your energy. Hardship sharpens your focus. It teaches you to invest in what lasts, not what distracts. Eventually you realize that the test itself was part of the elevation. It was not merely something to survive, but something to transform you. The strength you carry now is not visible to everyone, but it is known to Allah, and that is enough. When Allah increases the test, while increasing your strength, it is a sign that He is preparing you for something that requires resilience, patience, and deep trust. What is coming cannot be carried by a fragile heart. So Allah strengthens you first, quietly, lovingly, and perfectly on time. One of the most subtle yet powerful signs that Allah is planning something big for you is the presence of peace in places where panic should exist. When the situation logically demands fear, anxiety, or despair, yet your heart remains steady, this is not emotional numbness, this is sakina. And sakina is a gift that only Allah places in the hearts of those He is drawing closer to Himself. This peace does not mean the absence of pain. The problem may still be unresolved. The future may still be uncertain. The du'a may still be unanswered. But despite all of that, your heart is not drowning. There is a quiet reassurance inside you, a sense that even if you do not understand the plan, you trust the planner. This type of peace cannot be manufactured. It does not come from logic, control, or positive thinking. It comes from Allah alone. Allah mentions in the Quran that He sends down tranquility into the hearts of the believers so that their faith may increase. This tranquility often descends at the most unexpected moments, during hardship, loss, or deep uncertainty. When everything around you is shaking, but your heart is not, it is because Allah is holding it. And when Allah holds a heart, no storm can uproot it. Unexplained peace often arrives after prolonged struggle. You may have cried, questioned, and wrestled with fear for a long time. Then suddenly, without the situation changing, the Venus lifts. You stop obsessing over outcomes. You stop replaying worst-case scenarios. You begin to accept that whatever Allah decrees will be better than what you could design yourself. This shift is not weakness, it is surrender. And surrender is strength in its purest form. This peace is also a sign of alignment. When the heart is aligned with Allah's will, it stops fighting reality. It understands that control was never in its hands to begin with. This does not make you passive or careless, it makes you grounded. You still take action, you still make du'a, but you no longer panic if things unfold differently than expected. You trust that Allah sees what you cannot. Many people search for peace in circumstances when things improve, when problems disappear, when life becomes easier. But Allah teaches His beloved servants that peace is not found outside, it is placed within. This is why two people can face the same hardship, yet one collapses while the other remains composed. The difference is not strength of personality, but depth of reliance on Allah. Unexplained peace is also protective. It guards you from despair, from impulsive decisions, from turning away from Allah in frustration. When Allah plans something big for you, He cannot allow your heart to self-destruct under pressure. So He steadies it. He reminds you gently that He is near, that He hears you, that nothing is random. This peace allows you to wait with dignity. You are no longer consumed by impatience or comparison. You stop measuring your journey against others. You understand that Allah's timing is personal, intentional, and perfect. This inner calm keeps you from forcing doors that are meant to open naturally. Sometimes Allah grants peace not because the hardship will last forever, but because relief is approaching. Just as the calm before dawn signals the arrival of light, sakina often comes before a major shift. Allah reassures your heart before He changes your reality. So if you find peace in the middle of chaos, do not dismiss it. Thank Allah for it. Protect it. It is a sign that your heart is being carried by divine care. And when Allah places peace in your heart while the world remains uncertain, know that He is preparing you for something far greater than what you are currently facing. One of the clearest signs that Allah is planning something big for you is a sudden deep pull toward du'a and tawakkul. You begin to turn to Allah not only when things go wrong, but in every moment of uncertainty. Your heart no longer finds relief in overthinking, controlling outcomes, or depending on people. Instead, it instinctively turns upward. This shift is not random. Allah Himself invites certain hearts closer before a major turning point. You may notice that your du'a changes. It becomes less scripted and more sincere. You stop focusing only on specific outcomes and begin asking Allah for what is best, even if it looks different from what you imagined. Your words become softer, more honest. Sometimes there are no words at all, only tears, silence, or a heart that feels heavy yet hopeful. Allah loves this state. It is the state of complete need. Need is one of the most beloved positions a servant can be in before Allah. Tawakkul deepens when you realize how limited you truly are. You reach a point where planning, striving, and worrying have exhausted. Why? Oh, not because effort is wrong, but because effort without reliance drains the soul. So Allah teaches you balance. You still take steps, but you release the illusion of control. You stop trying to force doors open and start trusting that what is meant for you will reach you without being chased. This reliance is not passive. It is active trust. It means doing your part while your heart rests with Allah. It means saying, I will try, but I know the result belongs to you. This mindset frees you from anxiety and disappointment. When things work out, you're grateful. When they do not, you are steady. Tawakkul stabilizes the heart regardless of outcomes. A stronger pull toward du'a also means Allah is listening closely. The Prophet taught us that Allah is shy to turn away the hands of His servant empty when they are raised in supplication. When Allah draws you toward frequent du'a, it is often because He wants to give, either in this life, the next, or in a form better than what you asked. Allah places the desire to ask in your heart before He places the answer in your life. During this stage, you may feel detached from people's reassurance. Words no longer satisfy you the way they used to. Advice feels limited. Comfort from others feels temporary. Only turning to Allah truly settles your heart. This is a sign of maturity in faith. Allah is teaching you that ultimate reassurance comes from Him alone. This pull toward tawakkul also cleanses the heart of fear. You stop being terrified of what if. You begin to accept that whatever Allah decrees will carry wisdom, even if it carries pain. This acceptance does not remove emotion, it removes despair. You still feel, but you no longer fall apart. When Allah is planning something big for you, He anchors your heart in Him first. Because what is coming may require patience, gratitude, or resilience. And a heart trained in du'a and tawakkul is a heart that can carry great blessings without losing itself. So, if you find yourself constantly turning to Allah, trusting Him more than the process, and leaning on Him in ways you never did before, know this: Allah is preparing you. And when the time is right, the one you trusted in the unseen will reveal His plan in the most beautiful way. When Allah is aligning you with His greater plan, life begins to make sense in a way it never did before. Not because everything becomes easy, but because everything becomes meaningful. Events that once felt random start to connect. Pain begins to carry purpose. Detours reveal direction. This alignment is one of the final and most powerful signs that Allah is planning something big for you. You may look back and realize that certain doors had to close for this moment to exist. Certain people had to leave. Certain versions of you had to end. At the time, those losses felt unnecessary and even cruel, but now you can see that they were redirections. Allah was not taking things away, He was positioning you. Alignment often requires removal before replacement. When you are aligned with Allah's plan, your decisions begin to feel guided. You are not free from doubt, but you are protected from reckless choices. You pause more. You pray before acting. You seek clarity instead of rushing relief. This is not hesitation, this is wisdom Allah places in the heart of the believer who has learned patience. Another sign, F alignment is acceptance. You stop resisting reality and start working with it. You no longer fight what Allah has decreed, even if you do not fully understand it. This does not mean you stop making dua or striving. It means your heart is no longer at war with Allah's will. Peace replaces inner conflict, and clarity replaces chaos. Alignment also changes your priorities. You begin to value what brings barakah, not just what brings results. You care more about sincerity than appearance. You choose obedience over convenience. This shift is subtle but powerful. Allah aligns your desires with what pleases Him. And when that happens, your life becomes lighter, even when responsibilities grow heavier. One of the most beautiful aspects of alignment is contentment with timing. You stop envying others' journeys because you understand that Allah's plan is custom-made. What is delayed for you may be destructive if rushed. What is given to others may not be meant for you. This understanding frees the heart from comparison, one of the greatest thieves of peace. Alignment does not mean the absence of fear, but it means fear no longer controls you. You trust that whatever Allah brings into your life has already passed through His wisdom and mercy. This trust allows you to step forward even when the path is unclear. You move with faith instead of certainty, and that is enough. When Allah aligns you with His greater plan, you begin to live with intention. You are no longer just reacting to life, you are responding to Allah. Your actions carry purpose, your patience carries reward, your struggles carry meaning. Even your waiting becomes an act of worship. This alignment is a mercy that comes after endurance. It is the result of lessons learned, hearts softened, and trust built over time. Allah does not rush this process because what He is preparing is not temporary. It is something that will affect your dunya and your akhirah. If you feel that your life is being rearranged, not randomly but intentionally, trust it. Trust the discomfort. Trust the pauses. Trust the changes you did not ask for. When Allah aligns you with His plan, He is not just giving you something big. He is making you someone capable of carrying it, protecting it, and using it in a way that brings you closer to Him.